had just closed my eyes, exhausted, when the silent alarm went off. I exhaled. Damn, I was so tired. What now? Probably just some of that inbred Turk's men at the gate. Why I needed to be called for this, I would never understand. What part of put a bullet in their damn heads and let me sleep for once can't be understood. Angrily, I threw off the covers and got out of the bed. I slid into my cargo pants that were close at hand. I then bothered to put on a shirt. The tank top I had on would have to do. I'm sure if I had to kill someone, they wouldn't be paying attention to the fact that I wasn't wearing a bra. I slid my feet into my boots and grabbed my knife and my shotgun, just in case. I threw open my apartment door and walked out into the dark hall. My steps slowed. Something was wrong. The compound was never really quiet, so this sudden silence was a telling fact. I exhaled as I prepared myself mentally for battle. I was so tired of fighting. I was really getting too old for this. I had just turned 40 last week, and I am ready for a break. Last night, I dreamed I was looking back at these gates for the last time, feeling free of the huge burden this place had become. I just needed a break. I felt burnt out. But as I quickly made my way down the 8th flight of stairs, it became obvious that today was not the day. With my back against the wall, shotgun in hand, I eased open the front lobby door. Deborah, come out nice and slow, sweetheart, and drop the weapon, or I'm going to give my man the go-ahead to start shooting your people. I stood there for a minute more. Damn, they made it past the gates. They were in the compound. And who the hell was Deborah? Was he trying to say Debra? And how the hell did he know my name? I took several deep breaths to try and control the panic that wanted to cripple me. Could Scott have found me? No, it was impossible. I had covered my tracks. Many years have passed. Come on, D. Get out there. I took several deep breaths before I stepped out to the hall. It took all my training to control my surprise at what I saw in front of me. All 60 plus of my people were on their knees with their hands behind their heads, even the little ones. There were about 70 men, maybe more, maybe less, armed and yes, pointing guns at them. But it was their leader that had almost made me crack my mask. I have never seen anything like him, and I have seen a lot. He stood about 6'4", 6'5" maybe, and he was big. That I was used to. I had been around big men my whole life. No, it was his other attributes that brought me up short. He had long brown locks that fell down his back. He wore a long brown duster that was almost the same color. His brown beard was thick and beautiful. But what really played tricks on the eyes was the fact that his skin was the same color as his hair and beard and the duster. And yeah, he was handsome. Extremely so. But what stood out the most to me was the power that oozed from him. There was a hard edge to his looks, like he had seen a lot, fought a lot, and killed a lot. I recognized that look. I knew it well. He was also younger than me. Drop your weapons, Deborah. He spoke. His deep voice seemed to penetrate through the floor, up through my feet, running up my legs to rumble through my center. And then his deep, midnight gaze landed on me. And for the first time in my 40 years, a man took my breath. I gasped. I mean, my breath literally got caught in my throat. And for a moment, I was very aware that I stood barely dressed in a pair of cargo pants, comeback boots that were not laced up, a tank top without a bra, and my long hair that I normally wore in a braid down my back kind of was just all over my head. Oh man. And judging by the way his eyes slowly roamed up my body and lingered on my breast, that goodness, it would be drafty down here. Your weapons, he repeated quietly. I looked around at my men, all 15 of them. Damn it, they were all on their knees. Slowly, I kneeled down, laying the shotgun on the ground. The 9 was tucked in my back, the back of my pants, so maybe he wouldn't. Your other weapon, he said. I exhaled as anger began to wash over me. I didn't like being defenseless. I eyed him, wondering if I would have time to shoot him and then grab my shotgun. Is it worth their lives? He asked. I looked around at these people that I was ashamed to say had become a burden to me. These people that kept me from running free. These people that always needed. These people that I gave my life to. Was it worth it? Was it worth being at the mercy of... I looked back at the brown-haired man. Power. Power surrounded him like smoke. He's strong. He had to have penetrated my walls. I did not want to be at his mercy. But then I looked at little Freddie, his little 9-year-old fat belly hanging over his pants as he struggled to keep his hands up over his head. Damn, the little ones. Slowly, I took the 9 out of the back of my pants. Easy, he said, as I kneeled down, landing on the ground next to the shotgun. Instantly, one of his warriors came and picked him up. The fool kneeled down right in front of me. I looked up at the leader, and as if he could read my mind, he slowly shook his head. Damn, his gaze was intense. I kept my knee to myself this time. Good job, he told me. Now, as I was saying, he raised his voice again, speaking to the people. I am the new master here. You will do what I say when I say it, and you won't be killed. My men will be everywhere, watching everything, and they have their orders. They will not hesitate to kill you. John Mayer, where are you? He asked, looking around the crowded room. Damn it, John, damn it, he brought this man here. I should have never opened my gate for him. John, the coward, he didn't even say anything. Come on, John, don't make me kill an innocent. He nodded to another big man that wore a scarf on his head wrapped like a turban. The man turned and grabbed up poor Mr. Kimball, who was like 80, by his collar and put his gun to his head. My muscles twitched as my body wanted to go into fight mode. My heart accelerated. Yes, it was true, these people were a burden to me, but they were mine, and I would give my life to keep them safe. I took deep breaths to calm myself. This is a battle I would not win, but the war had only just begun. See, I didn't survive this long not knowing when to move and when to stand still. I would bide my time. Everybody slipped, even brown-haired warriors with piercing eyes. And when he slipped, I will slit his throat. He's over here, Maggie, Mr. Kimball's granddaughter, cried out. Her Irish accent heightened in her panic. With a shaking finger, she pointed at that coward John. You John hissed. The brown-haired man's angry eyes fell on John, and he growled before he moved faster than anything I had ever seen, snatching John off his feet and the floor by his neck. He had both of his hands wrapped around the coward's neck. John stared at him with a petrified look on his face as he felt his life force leaving his body. His hands came up as he began scratching and clawing, trying to pull the man's hands from around his throat to relieve some of the pressure. His feet dangled in the air. "You remember me, John?" the man asked, his face distorted with rage. With tears in his eyes, John began to try to beg. "Please," he hissed through his crushed throat, his face turning purple as he struggled for breath. "Please," he managed to get out again as his feet began to spasm as death was near. "Did my wife beg for her life before you killed her?" the man spat. Damn it, John had destroyed us all. His eyes rolled to the back of his head. Seconds later, he was dead. The brown-haired man simply opened his hands and let John's body fall to the ground. All my people stared at his body, before their eyes slowly rose back to the powerful man. If they weren't afraid before, they were definitely afraid now. "Does John have any family here?" he asked calmly, as if he had not just killed the man with his bare hands. Everybody shook their head, overeager to please him now, in fear for their own lives. "No, he showed up here a few months ago, begging Dee for a place to stay," Maggie said, taking it upon herself to be the spokesman of our group, which was fine with me, because I didn't have nothing to say to him. The man's penetrating gaze fell on me anyway. "You the boss here?" he asked. I held my head up. I wasn't answering no questions. "What's wrong? You a mute?" He began frowning at me. His frown was a little intimidating, which just made me angrier because I didn't like being intimidated. Those days was long gone. I just looked at him. Damn him. He ain't my boss. No man is. "Come here, Debra," he said through clenched teeth. I was making him mad. I smiled. Good. He might as well learn now that I could give two shits about his orders. His brown eyebrow rose when he saw that I smiled. "Do I amuse you?" he asked, now completely turned towards me. At first, this was his first time focusing completely on me. Damn, it was intense. It was like standing in front of a fire brigade. "Come here." He pointed to the floor by him. This man was crazy. If he thought that for a minute I was gonna obey him like a damn dog. "You heard him," the brute that had taken my gun said, shoving my arm. I turned my head to look at him. "Don't ever touch me again," I told him. He laughed. I turned back to look at the leader. "I'm not going to tell you again, Debra." I gave him a look that told him what he could do with his threats. And why the hell did he keep calling me Debra? Two hands grabbed my arms from the back. First, panic, and then instant repulsion shot through my body. I hated to be touched. For a second, I closed my eyes, trying to keep myself from screaming from the pain of it. My mind instantly going on autopilot. When I was touched, it sent signals to my body that said, "Fight for your life." I tilted my head forward a little bit before I slammed it back into the jackass's nose, smiling when I heard that satisfying crunch. He fell to the ground holding his broken nose, yelling as blood spewed from between his fingers. Leaning my head to one side and then the other, I popped my neck. "I told you not to touch me," I told him. Another man came at me. I took out his right shin. He swung at me. I ducked and gave him a rib shot before taking out his left knee. When he went down, I punched him in the back of his neck, sending him to roll on the floor next to his friend. The man with the brown hair watched, and although he didn't smile, I could tell he was amused. I stood back up straight. Another man made to come towards me, and then the leader held up his hand, stopping him. Instead, it was he who came towards me. Oh damn. Okay, I could take him, I told myself. He slowly approached me, and I couldn't help but check out his swagger. Goodness. I took a few steps back, giving myself enough space to work. I could feel all my people watching. They wanted to see what their old master was going to do about the one who claimed to be their new master. They expected me to win. But damn it, why didn't they see that this was no ordinary man? Why did they always expect me to do the impossible? Come on, Beauty. Make this easy. I'm tired. I've traveled a long way, and I don't want to fight you, he said quietly. Well then don't, I told him. Okay, I won't, if you promise to do what I say. I couldn't help but laugh. I'm not in the business of making promises I ain't even gonna try to keep. He stood there with his hands resting against a very impressive sword that hung low on his waist, underneath his duster. His eyes slowly raked down my body. The way he was looking at me was making me uncomfortable, and I don't know why. I have had men look at me with desire all my life, even when I was too young to fight them off. So what was different now? Why was this brown-haired man that was younger than me undoing me? When his eyes lowered to my breast, such a look of hunger came in them that once again I gasped, my breath catching in my throat again. His gaze came up to my mouth as if he heard. I almost shook my head. That was impossible. See, look at me. I was coming undone. You think you can take me, Beauty? He spoke so that only I could hear him. Do you mean in a fight? I asked, because the way he framed that question kind of made it sound like he meant something else. He chuckled, his intense gaze raking up my body again. He slowly licked his lips. Goodness, his lips. Oh man, he was dangerous. In any way, baby. Do you think you can handle me in any way? I gasped. His eyes came to my mouth, again as if he heard me or something. You ought to not talk to your elders that way, I told him. It was time for me to put Mr. Man here in his place. He looked at me for a moment. I mean, really looked at me. His eyes raked over my wild hair, my face, my lips, my neck, and then he held his head back and laughed, his deep voice echoing loud throughout the room. His men cringed at the sound before they turned to look shocked faces at him, some of them with awe. It was as if they had never heard him laugh before. He continued to laugh for a moment before it died down to a chuckle, his intense gaze wrapping around me like an embrace. Slowly, he took a few steps closer. I took a few back, my training telling me he was getting ready to make his move. I prepared myself. When it happened fast. He reached for me, I blocked, and I tried to take out his shin. Quickly, he stepped back. Too late, I realized it had been a trap. I fell right into his arms. Damn, he was fast. I brought my foot back to deliver a back kick. He blocked it. I tried to headbutt him, but that didn't work either. I dipped trying to get free of his grip, only managing to get myself in further peril. Somehow he got a hold of both of my hands, in one of his big hands behind my back. Damn, he's strong, real strong. I braced myself, waiting for the repulsion I knew was coming from being touched to wash over me. It didn't come. Confused, I bucked trying to dislodge his grip. I pulled out everything I had to get out of this kind of grip, but nothing worked. I screamed out of frustration as he slammed my back against the wall before lifting me off my feet. I tried to kick him, but that only made an opening for him to wedge his big body between my legs. I wrapped my legs around his waist and tried to give him a death squeeze, but he still held my hands behind my back, and he had my wrist in a grip that if I twisted just a little, it would cause intense pain. He twisted. I growled, ignoring the pain, and tried to headbutt him again, but he easily moved his face back. He was smiling at me. The bastard was having fun. Right then I realized two things. He had disabled me without hurting me, which meant he was taking it easy on me. And while one of his big hands was holding my hands behind my back, his other one was wrapped around my waist, his warm palm resting against my stomach. And there was no panic or repulsion. What was happening? For the first time in my life, I was being touched and I didn't feel like I was going to vomit. The confusion of the situation angered me. I didn't like this. I growled in his face. He smiled. "You are a savage," he whispered, so close to my lips. Quickly, I tried to get a hold of him with my teeth. He moved back, his eyes going to my mouth, then my neck, my breast. "I think," he spoke again, "I like it." She was wild, a complete savage, and I was so turned on I thought that maybe I was going to burst. And she smelled good, like wildflower. If I had thought her military picture was jaw-dropping gorgeous, it paired in comparison to the real thing. Her long curly hair spilled wildly around her shoulders and back like a black cloud. I leaned in and smelled it, moving back just as she tried to bite me again. "You smell good," I whispered to my little savage. "Again, you shouldn't talk to your elders that way." She licked her lips. Oh, yeah. Oh, I wanted to taste her so bad. But once again, she brought up our age differences. According to her records that Mark Thomas had pulled up, she was 7 years older than me. And I think she thought she would try to use that to keep me away. I don't think so. I looked at her lush mouth again. "You think you're too old for me? Or do you think I'm too young for you?" She laughed. "Please, let's not even go there, 'cause the answer is both. I'm too old for you, and you for damn sure too young for me." I smiled at her as I slowly shook my head. I leaned in close, twisting her wrists so that if she moved an inch, they would break. She groaned softly from the pain, closing her eyes, trying to fade it out, no doubt, like she had been trained to do. "Please allow me to introduce myself," I whispered in her ear. "My name is Dawid. I am the son of a lion, and I am going to devour you." I pressed up against her center, moving her waist so that she rubbed up against my hunger, causing her to make that gasping sound in her throat. That sound that she made when she first saw me. That sound that let me know that although her mouth said one thing, her body was saying a whole nother thing. That sound that was swiftly becoming music to my ears. Chuckling, I slowly eased her down to her feet. "But not now. It's not the time, my beauty," I told her. I nodded at Mad Max, giving him the signal to go retrieve our people who were waiting for us up on the cliff. First thing I needed to do was secure this place so that nobody else came along to do what I did, which was invade. Still holding her hands behind her back, I walked with her back to in front of the group. "As you can see," I told her people, needing to sear the message that they were good and conquered loud and clear into their minds. I pushed her in front of me just like me. "Your queen is mine."